Well, what's kicking, everybody? We are back for another episode of Picking Fights. I'm joined, as always, by Tom. Tom, how are you tonight?
I'm good, man. Got a good comeback card this week. Can't wait.
All right, that's good. We can finally say, like, at a lot of the end of our episodes, we always say, like, okay, this is a recurring guest. They'll be back. But finally, we do have a recurring guest. We have Nora, a.k.a. Big Nor, back with us tonight. Nora, how are you?
I'm good.
Thanks for joining us again. It's good to see you again. So, Nora, the last time that you were on here, we were talking about, like, fighter nicknames and stuff like that, and you were like, oh, that's a cool nickname, that's a cool one. Well, I came up with what mine would be if I was in the UFC. I decided my nickname would be Circus Dynamite, based off of the fireworks that the kids behind me are lighting off literally every night since, like, June 25th. I asked them one day, hey, what fireworks are those? They said Circus Dynamite. I was like, yeah, that would be a sick UFC nickname. So we're going to jump in and talk about this card. What is it, Tom? UFC 265? You should probably know that.
265, yes, sir.
Okay, so this one, the headlining fight, we got Derrick Lewis versus Cyril Gane. We were also supposed to have Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena, but Amanda Nunes' like whole family got COVID, I think. Her whole family, baby included. Yeah.
All three of them.
Yeah, that's a tough situation.
All three of not the three babies. It's the Amanda, their daughter, and her wife.
Right.
Nina.
Yeah. So, yeah, all of them got COVID, so unfortunately Amanda Nunes had to pull out. It would have been fun to see her perform another execution live on television, or it could have gone the other way. Probably not. But let's go. Anyways, we're going to jump into this card. I've got one prelim lock for you in this one, so we're going to kick it off with Alonzo Menifield versus Ed Herman. I really like Alonzo Menifield in here. He is an absolute lock in my opinion. He looked great in his last fight. And I'm just going to go through this quick, right? He's too explosive, he's too athletic, and he's too strong in the clinch for Ed Herman. And Ed Herman, he's been around the block. He's taken a lot of damage. So this is probably going to end up being a stand-up fight because Herman's a little bit worried to go into the grapple game with Alonzo Menifield. Or Menifield might just choose to keep it standing up. Either way, I think Menifield is just so much more advanced in the game than Ed Herman is. So I really like Alonzo Menifield here. I don't know if it'll be done by, like what method it's going to come by. But if I had to pick one, say probably a KO. You get that stand-up fight. I think he's got the hands to get it done. Tom, do you disagree with me there? Do you like Ed Herman, or are you with me on Alonzo Menifield?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a lock. I think Ed Herman definitely has some things that he, has still – that he can still do well, to quite frankly. So I don't know if it's a lock, but, I do like Alonzo Menifield to take the W here.
All right. Well, I'll take that. You like him. I think he's a lock. Nora, what do you think about that one?
Well, I think I prefer Ed Herman's nickname.
Okay.
He's the short fuse, but he's also very old. So I'm going to go with Alonzo Menifield.
All right. So we're all in agreement there with Alonzo Menifield. I do want to mention Nora is, what she lacks in UFC knowledge. She's probably the best drinker that we've had on the show. That's not a backhand shot, or it could be at anybody else that we've had on here in the past. But, we've had some pretty, subpar drinkers. Nora, hold up your wine for everybody out there.
The cup or the bottle? It needs a refill anyways. Here's the bottle.
Yeah, there we go.
Highly recommend. My dad recommended it to me. Cupcake Chardonnay. You guys might be able to get a sponsor out of this one.
All right. Never thought we'd ever get a wine sponsor. But who knows? I thought maybe Modelo would probably come down the line. But, yeah, it looks like Cupcake Wineries. No free promos, so Cupcake, you have to pay us now. Tom, do you have any prelim locks for us?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the prelim lock, or actually the fight on the entire card that has, with the exception of the main event, that has the most disparaging lines. I'm taking Rafael Fiziev over Bobby Green, and I have a few reasons why. But before I get into that, I want to just read you. The opening line was Rafael Fiziev at minus 145. He's now going for minus 330, anywhere from minus 300 on Bovada up to minus 330 is the worst. Bobby Green going from plus 125 as low as 245. So this has a lot of people think that Rafael Fiziev is going to win. You also have Fiziev being 91% the pick. And generally when the pick and Vegas all align, that's generally a lock. And it's something in this case that's good for a parlay builder. So aside from just kind of what the people and what Vegas is telling me, we look at these guys actually. You got a guy from Kyrgyzstan versus a guy from the United States. Generally speaking, I'm probably going to go with the guy from Kyrgyzstan. He's out of Thailand. He is he's very, very well trained, training at Stanford MMA. He's a very, very good stand-up game. That's what happens when you're fighting out of Thailand. He's 28 years old, so he's coming into his own. He's got the reach is generally the same between these two guys, 71.5 for Fiziev against 71 for Bobby Green. Bobby Green, 27-11, coming off a unanimous decision loss to Tygo Moises. Obviously, we saw Moises go on to lose his next fight following that. And then we have Fiziev coming off of 3 back-to-back wins. Both of these guys, Rafael Fiziev, I didn't even realize this, last win was a TKO left hook on Renato Moicano. So a solid lineage of people he's fighting, Rafael Fiziev has. Good record. The younger guy from the scarier country. Everything is pointing that way. I think this is a very, very good lock. Fiziev has some of the best stand-up in the division. He utilizes fakes. Bobby Green uses that kind of Floyd Mayweather shoulder roll. But with the fakes, if Fiziev can get him rolling prematurely, boom, you just need to see what he is to get predictable. And then he leaves himself wide open for the hooks. And against a guy who's a better stand-up, I think Fiziev also has really good leg kicks, and it's going to stop Bobby Green's ability to move. Everything's pointing Fiziev. I know sometimes it's maybe a good decision to take Bobby Green, but he's only plus 245, Fiziev minus 330. Take Fiziev, put him in a parlay, easy first leg.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. So you mentioned those shoulder rolls. We saw that, Dracus Duplessis. We saw that, I can't remember who he fought, but the guy he was fighting kept trying to use those boxing moves, keep trying to roll backwards. Yeah, that works in boxing, but in MMA, you have so much more at your disposal. You can't get away with just moving your head out of the way and, like, trying to, matrix a punch, essentially. So another thing, I want to know what Rafael Fiziev's nickname is. How do you pronounce that? Ataman?
I think it's like Ataman, like Attaboy.
Ataman, all right. Ataman, I like that. I'm going to start saying that to people. So, yeah.
That's my guess.
Tom, you mentioned everything is pointing Fiziev, and so are we. Nora, are you going with Fiziev here as well?
Yeah, I think Tom put up a pretty convincing argument. If everybody else thinks so, I don't have the knowledge to say anything else.
Fair enough. Yeah, when you mentioned he's from Kyrgyzstan, that's usually a big pointer. Nora, do you have any prelim locks for us? Are there any nicknames that really stick out to you that you're like, oh, this is someone who I think I can get behind?
Well, this one doesn't have a nickname, but her last name sounds very similar to Tom's. But like a slight rendition. Her name is Carolina Kowalkiewicz. Okay.
And so that's your logic right there. I like it.
Yeah. There was another cool one. Draco Rodriguez is the great Dracolini.
Okay. I like that one a lot, going with like the Houdini type of route. Those are cool.
Some of the other ones were kind of lame.
It's pronounced Kowalkiewicz.
So not close to Kowalski at all. My bad.
80% sure it's Carolina Kowalkiewicz. Carolina Kowalkiewicz.
So it's close. Okay, but Tom also couldn't pronounce that other guy's name last week.
Which
that
one?
Started with a B.
Kowalkiewicz. Yeah, Carolina Kowalkiewicz. That 80% sure locking that in.
Okay. So at least we have one lock out of that, is that you say Kowalkiewicz.
We also have the Jamaican Sensation.
The Jamaican Sensation. I like it. Who's that?
And in the early prelims, O.D. Osborne.
Oh, I think Odie's going to get beat there. Ode. I don't know how to
All right. Then we're going with Starboy.
Okay. So if you're one of those people that picks like your brackets based on mascots and colors and you pick fighters based on nicknames, you're definitely going to want to tail Nora here in on this card. Decent picks all around, I mean, just based on names, those aren't bad. I definitely wouldn't put them in as locks, but Nora says that those are her locks. So when we put out our official records at the end of the week, Big Nor, we'll see how you do. Tom, do you have any other prelim locks for us, Tom?
No, nothing
right.
else. I'm looking through the card here. Give me a second. Yeah, nothing on the prelim. I let's say Carolina Kowalkiewicz.
Okay.
Kowalkiewicz.
However you say it. She's gonna have to come on here and correct this. She'll be our guest in a few weeks, hopefully. So then, since we're done with our prelim locks, we'll move on to the main card for you. So first up, we got Song Yadong versus Kenney. Tom, you got those odds up for us?
Yes, I do.
All right.
So we got Kenney opening plus 105, now about 115. Song Yadong opening minus 125, back to.
Cut out here for a second. This is the worst. I don't know why my Wi-Fi does this from time to time, but I guess it happens. I don't know. Yikes.
People say decision.
Okay, so I didn't hear a word you said because for some reason I kind of froze out over here, but I'm kind of hoping that it recorded so that the people at home heard all that great stuff from Tapology.
They definitely didn't.
Well,
so just real quick, 1,139 people, 69% are taking Kenney. Song Yadong, only 31% picking Song Yadong.
All right. Fair enough. Well, I'm going with Kenney here. I'm going to side with, what was that, 69%? I just think Kenney's got way better cardio in this fight than Mr. Yadong or Mr. Song. I'm not sure which one's the first name, which one's the last name.
Song Yadong.
Okay. So is it – all right, never mind. So Song Yadong, because you know how like Wang Jie Li, sometimes it's Jie Li Wang. Yeah. So I just think Kenney Casey, now I flipped his names. Kenney has way too good of cardio when he comes up against Song Yadong. Like Song Yadong had that really good win against was it Renato Moicano? Can't remember off the top of my head, but he also lost to Kyler Phillips. And, back when we were talking about Kyler Phillips last episode, we were like, all right, Kyler Phillips, he's pretty good. He beat Song Yadong. Well, then Kyler Phillips went out and lost his last fight against Raulian Paiva. And now I'm kind of saying to myself, well, is Song Yadong that good? Is that loss to Kyler Phillips as like impressive, or does it even matter as much? Anyways, I just think Kenney is going to come out here. He's going to piece up Song Yadong. He goes body head a lot. I think he's going to get Song Yadong putting his hands down a lot by like the third, maybe the second, third round, at which point he's just going to piece up Song Yadong's head. And, even if he doesn't like the stand-up realm in this fight, he does have a lot of great grappling under his belt. Speaking of Casey with belts, he's got a black belt in judo. He likes to use those takedowns very, very well. I could see him going for, like basically just tossing Song Yadong over his hip and spanking him like a baby. And we got to look back at Casey's old fights too. He fought Dominic Cruz. That's like the one that sticks out in my head the most. Battled Dominic Cruz, former champion. Casey's kind of working his way back up right now. I think Kenney is going to take this with ease over Song Yadong. Don't know how it's going to come. Don't want to make a prediction on that. But whether it's decision, whether it's a finish, I got Kenney coming out on top here. Tom, what do you think?
So I'm really split on this one. I lean Song Yadong actually. And let me tell you why. He has a unanimous decision win over Marlon Vera. And Marlon Vera, I think, is very good. He lost a majority decision or it was a majority draw to Cody Stamann, who is also, I think, very solid in the division. He's got a win over Alejandro Perez, TKO, right at the beginning of the first round. I think he's a little bit less weathered than Casey Kenney. I think some of his earlier, this guy, he came into his first UFC fight was in 2017, and he's 23 years old right now. So he's fighting at 19 years old in the UFC. So I think this guy's got a long way to go in terms of what he's capable of. And I think he can take what he had a problem with Kyler Phillips. It was the takedowns. If he could take his changing body and kind of learn. Again, he's training with Chad Mendes over at Team Alpha Male. And you want to talk about getting good at takedown defense and where in your career are you going to have the most growth? Well, it's going to be earlier, especially when you're 23. You're still learning to get a hold of your body. A lot can happen since his last fight in March. He's got good stand-up. Like I said, less weathered. He's training with Chad Mendes. He can utilize that kind of wrestling boxing kind of that Chad Mendes style, kind of the Michael Chandler style that you're so fond of, kind of coming in. You don't know if I'm going to go with a takedown or a body and then an over the top. So I think Casey Kenney, he's had like 7 fights in 14 months. And I think that's just really unpredictable. I don't know what's going to happen with that. He's taken a little bit of time off, but now he's coming back in. I think eventually it can catch up to you. And if you are deficient on the feet, I think that could potentially cause you to get KO'd. So I'm going to go against you. I'm going to pick Song Yadong here.
Fair enough. That's our first split. Can't wait to see how it turns out. I won't say that, I'm super solid with picking Casey Kenney here, but, I do like when we divide up a little bit because it raises the stakes for us. The bragging rights are there. So, Nora, who are you going to go with?
Well, this was the only fight that I formed an opinion on beforehand. I tried that last week too, and it didn't go well for me. But I was going to go with Song Yadong. 1, he's got a cooler name. 2, he has a nickname. Casey Kenney doesn't. His nickname is Kung Fu Monkey. So that's a good nickname in my opinion. And obviously I don't know as much as y'all do, but he's younger and he's taller and he seems to have slightly more experience. And I think Tom put up a great argument. Keith, you did your best, but I'm going with Tom.
Fair enough.
And just to hammer this home, you were talking about the Kyler Phillips loss looking bad since he lost to Julian Paiva. But Julian Paiva has wins over Zaglas Zumagov, who is top in the division, unanimous decision. He has a loss to Hadirio Bontarine, which is a guy who's top in the division. He has a loss to Kai Kara France, a split decision loss, might I tell you, in 2019. So this guy, he's fighting really, really good guys. So I'm not taking too much away from Kyler Phillips because he lost to Julian Paiva. And same way, I'm not taking too much away from Song Yadong because he lost to Kyler Phillips.
Yeah, I still think Kyler Phillips might have been robbed. But, to get beat by a guy moving up in a weight class, that's still a tough look regardless. Anyways, we'll move on to the next one here. We could spend all night talking about that, but we don't have to. We got Tecia Torres versus Angie Overkill Hill, one of Tom's favorites, I think, right? Tom, you love Miss Hill? Miss Hill.
Well, I love that she is the granddaughter of Bonnie and Benny Hill, the famous alien abduction, folklorists or folk character. I mean, they were real people, but they were one of the first few people to come out with a real alien encounter story. So I think it was way back in the 60s. As for Angie Overkill Hill, I don't know if I love her as a fighter. I want to root for her, but in this fight, I'm definitely taking Tecia Torres. I think Angie Overkill Hill maybe isn't as good as maybe we think she is. I think she just fights a lot, and kind of her record shows that. 13-9. I know that in women's MMA, it's a lot more commonplace to have a lot closer of records, but again, 13-9 with a lot of those being in the UFC. I think she's maybe about a 500 fighter in the UFC, maybe slightly better. I just think Tecia Torres in this fight has fought better and beaten better competition in the past. Hill doesn't really perform when it's against anyone with like a real name behind them or a quality opponent. She kind of beats up on people that she's supposed to beat, and when she's supposed to lose, she kind of does lose. She fights really regularly, but doesn't have a win that's really all that impressive. And, at times she may do better and be like, oh, this is like an improvement from her. It's never anything that really blows you away. Like, oh my God. And now that as she's getting older in her career, I don't see that time being more and more likely to come. I think maybe we might have already seen the best of her. I think all in all, I think Tecia Torres is coming off a really good fight off her last few fights. She has losses to Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Weili Zhang. Like, these are really quality losses, if you will, considering what they go on to be. Angie Overkill Hill lost to Michelle Watterson, whose biggest thing to this point was headlining a fight night that 2 other people got canceled on. So, the quality of the losses just aren't there. I think ultimately this fight isn't going to be all that interesting. Sometimes we pick fights of the night. This, I would say, maybe be the go to the bathroom fight of the night. But I would pick Torres over Hill in a decision.
Yeah, this is definitely refill your beer, get another slushie, mix another margarita, whatever it is that you're drinking. Alcoholic slushie, Nora. I saw that look. But
I was slightly concerned.
hey, who doesn't drink slushies on fight night? Come on.
He's running a 7-Eleven between fights.
I have a 7-Eleven down the street. I could easily do that. Give away my location or anything.
Angie Hill lost to Randa Marcos.
Yeah, that's a tough loss. Listen, I used to say my gut was big, and that's why I was going with what my gut was telling me. It's not nearly as big as it used to be. I've been hitting the gym hard, doing those crunches and those Russian twists and all that. But my gut is still leading me to Angie Hill. It's not a great pick. Don't love it. I feel like the same way that I did about the last one, where this is a fight that I still think could go either way. I liked her fight against Ashley Yoder. I felt that went very well for her. She absolutely dominated. She's had battles with people like Michelle Watterson, the karate hottie. I think that at her age still, like you said, we might have seen the best of her. I still think that she's improving over time. She has the experience. And she does have pretty good striking numbers in a lot of her fights. Tecia Torres does outstrike her, like, comparatively. But Angie Hill, she uses her length very well. I just think, she's going to piece her up with a lot of leg kicks, and it's going to open up some stuff upstairs for her. It's going to be a close fight. Could go either way. She is the older woman here. Typically, I go with the younger fighter, but I like Angie Hill at 36 over Tecia Torres at 31. I like her experience coming into this fight, and I like her activity as well. Could be Tecia Torres. Not a lock by any means. Wouldn't bet on this one at all. But Angie Hill, that's who I'm going with here.
Well, Angie Hill, you were saying you were impressed with Angie Hill's win over Ashley Yoder?
Well, she dominated her.
Okay. Ashley Yoder also just lost to Jinyu Frey last weekend. She also lost to Randa Marcos in 2019. And she lost to Angie Hill back in 2017 already. So, I mean, this is an opponent that she had seen already, and she could – if you're going to say Angie Hill's, crowning moment was her win over Ashley Yoder, I don't think that's not an opponent that you can get a crowning win against.
No.
You can't get a crowning win against someone who's just not that good. It doesn't mean much.
By no means am I saying that's her crowning achievement. Give Angie Hill the belt for that. But, I just think it was way more impressive than her previous fights. She won by a landslide as opposed to her previous fight in 2017 against Yoder. And Angie Hill is the type of person to come out and surprise some people every now and then. I don't think that they're just going to throw her out there and sacrifice her to Tecia Torres. this will definitely come down to decision. I don't think like we're going to argue that whatsoever. And we have seen over the past couple of weeks a lot of robberies when it comes down to decision. So I do like Hill's chances here. You know, I think, hey, you know what? Maybe the judges will just throw her one here. Who knows? Nora, what do you think?
I don't know. I feel like it could go either way. Tecia Torres is younger, has a cooler nickname, the Tiny Tornado. But Angela Hill is bigger. So I truly don't know. I might just go with Tecia Torres because she's got the better nickname. But I won't be betting on this one.
Yeah, I won't.
I only bet between $1 to $5, but I will not be putting any money on this one.
Fair enough, you know, but what is it? Risk big, win big, something like that, you know. But, yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, if Tecia Torres wins, I won't be surprised by any means. But if Angela Hill wins, I'm going to be feeling very right come Monday. So next up, moving on up the – what were you about to say?
I was just going to go with the odds. Tecia Torres open minus 120, now chilling at minus 135, minus 140 in some on my bookie. Angela Hill open minus 108, now sitting around 110, 115. So pretty even fight. And then when we look at Tapology on this one, we got 1,100 people voted. Tecia Torres, 56%, 91% by decision. Angie Hill, 44%, 87 of those by decision. So definitely take the over on the rounds in this one.
Yeah, I like this one to go the over. Probably going to be set at like 2.5. You know, I haven't seen any of those come out yet. Still a bit away from the fight, but who knows? That could be a good little parlay booster for you there. So that's the one we all like. We can't agree on any one fighter here, but we can all agree that it's going to go over rounds. So next up, to quote someone else, moving on up the card, we got Michael Chiesa versus Vicente Luque. Tom, I'll let you kick this one off. Who do you like in this fight?
I like, as a person, Maverick Michael Chiesa. In this fight, I'm taking the silent assassin, Vicente Luque. Vicente Luque, ultimately, he just has better striking. He has better wins in his past. He's the younger fighter. Now, that's not to be said. Don't sleep on Michael Chiesa. He is the taller fighter, but he used to be a lightweight fighter, now moving up to 170. He's good in this weight class, but Vicente Luque is more of a 170 guy. They have the exact same reach. I think Vicente Luque has had better past competition and done well in that competition. I think he beats who he needs to beat. Chiesa is supposed to be really, really good on the ground. He has 3 subs on his record, including 1 to George Masvidal, which, I mean, listen, he's accomplished for sure. But to say that his ground game, I mean, he's not Nate Diaz. Or you know, if you get subbed by Nate Diaz, that means less. If you get subbed by George Masvidal, they have a very similar style, but they're not the same on the ground. So that just, you know, it is hard for me. I think Vicente Luque is going to be able to piece him up on the feet. And I think by the end, it's just going to end up being too much. I think Michael Chiesa probably either gets TKO'd or just loses a unanimous decision here. Looking at the stats, you have Vicente Luque giving out 5.74 strikes landed per minute against Michael Chiesa's 1.89. However, they both absorb about the same as they give. You know, Vicente Luque is definitely taking some, so he's definitely hittable here. He's got better pretty solid takedown defense at 65%. His wins over Tyron Woodley, honestly, doesn't look that great. But, you know, he looked really good in his loss to Stephen Thompson. And ultimately, I'm just going to have to go with Vicente Luque in this one.
Yeah, finally, we agree on one, dude. I'm taking Vicente Luque here, too. But, yeah, like you said, you like Michael Chiesa as a person. I kind of don't. I think he's a little bit of a cornball. I always think back to that moment when there was the press conference. I believe he was fighting Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee said, "Oh, your mom better buy tickets to this one," or something like that. And Michael Chiesa stands up and goes, "Don't talk about my mom. Don't talk about my mom." And then before he goes to like fight Kevin Lee on the stage, he goes, "Someone get between us." So Michael Chiesa, he's a big cornball here. I think he's going to get knocked out by Vicente Luque in spectacular fashion. You know, obviously that win against Tyron Woodley doesn't look so good now, but he's still TKO'd Tyron Woodley. And you can't deny that Tyron Woodley, yeah, he might have lost like every fight he was in for the past his past four fights or whatever. But still, very impressive. Tyron Woodley was running at him, and you know, Vicente Luque just picked his shots, landed him right on Tyron Woodley's chin, put him to sleep. You also got to look at the activity between these two guys. Vicente Luque fought Tyron Woodley, I don't know, in what was that, February, March? And Chiesa's only had 2 fights since like June or July of 2019. So Chiesa's not active at all. I think at this point in his career, he's focusing a lot more on like the whole commentating side of things. You know, if you go on Snapchat and look at UFC Fight Pass, you always see Michael Chiesa there, but you never actually see him in the octagon. So, you know, Chiesa could out-grapple Vicente Luque because that is where his strengths lie. But Vicente Luque is still pretty good, you know, when it comes to takedown defense and, you know, not getting actually brought to the canvas. Luque, he's got good hands. I won't say they're like bricks. I won't say that they're like Gilbert Burns level hands you know, in terms of size and how hard they hit you in the welterweight division. But I still think, like you said, it's going to be a TKO win for Vicente Luque here. So I'll pass it over to Nora, unless you got something else, Tom. I see you feverishly looking at something on your screen there. What do you got? You got anything good?
I'm looking around here, and I'm just looking at Michael Chiesa's past opponents. He has a win over Neil Magny, in which he just took Neil down and out-grappled him. And then a win over Rafael Dos Anjos. And I'm not sure what weight class that was in. I'm looking here, but I was just looking through, and I'm like, you know, Michael Chiesa does have some decent wins, but overall, like, I just think the competition is not the same. Neil Magny is not the same as, well, then here I am again. Is he not the same as Tyron Woodley? Like, I mean, maybe like, that version of Tyron Woodley. And then we talk about a KO of Randy Brown, but Michael Chiesa had a unanimous decision win over RDA. And then Diego Sanchez, but this is, you know, 2019 Diego Sanchez, which is much different than the 2021 Diego Sanchez. You know, Carlos Condit in 2018. Carlos Condit's still solid. In 2018, Anthony Pettis. Like, I mean, these are some solid opponents and some solid wins for Michael Chiesa if you're not looking, or if you do look. I mean, everyone on Tapology, they're still taking Vicente Luque. But you look at Luque's wins, we see a win over Nico Price, and that's a doctor's stoppage for an eye injury late in the 3rd round. I don't know. Randy Brown, 18-7. I mean, or no, I mean, Randy Brown was 19-3, 12-3, so never mind. Randy Brown's a solid fighter, but I don't know if the win is still quality of Michael Chiesa. I might be changing my pick to Michael Chiesa, to be honest with you.
Do it. Lock it in. Make it official right now.
Yeah, I think it's ultimately going to come down to, is Vicente Luque able to keep it standing on the feet?
Yeah.
Or is Michael Chiesa going to be able to get him down on the ground?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think even if Chiesa brings him down for one of those rounds, I don't think that, and like keeps him there, I don't think that Vicente Luque is going to let that happen to him for the other 2. And I think that you're going to see just like total boxing domination out of Vicente Luque, at least for 2 rounds. Michael Chiesa might get lucky with like one solid takedown and then just, you know, cover him like a comfort blanket, or what are those, the weighted heated blankets? Yep. He might just be on him like that the whole time. But Vicente Luque is no Neil Magny, so I don't see that happening.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna keep it on Vicente Luque. But this is a close one. I think it's gonna be a really fun fight.
Yeah, this is an incredible card, and that's gonna be a great fight. It's good to see Michael Chiesa back. I hope that my pick comes through, and he gets knocked out in devastating fashion. So Nora, Are you rolling with Tom's maybe pick Chiesa, or are you going to roll with both of us locking in Vicente Luque here?
Well, my general rule of thumb has been if Tom and Keith agree, I'm going with that guy. Secondly, though, the last time Tom last minute switched his pick, by Friday he changed his mind back to the original pick.
So make sure you follow us on Twitter to share your tune. You know, you make all the right picks, and you get a.
Yeah, I got to start looking at Twitter. And additionally, just based on names alone, if you're gonna act like a nerd like Michael Chiesa, or however you pronounce it, I don't think you deserve a nickname like Maverick.
No. I think Logan Paul stole that one from him.
Yeah.
He owns Maverick.
So I'll probably go with the Silent Assassin.
Yeah, that's where we're all going. Yeah, Logan Paul definitely stole Maverick from Michael Chiesa. He's in the public eye a lot more often now. And, you know, I actually saw a kid like a couple days ago. I was in Manhattan, and this kid was wearing a Maverick athletic sweatshirt. And at this point, I'm not associating that with Michael Chiesa. That's the older Paul brother. So, Michael Chiesa, you're losing all over the place. You're losing at press conferences. You're losing in life. And you're going to lose on Saturday night.
You're so hard on him, dude. Relax.
Oh, yeah, brother.
I want him to hit me up and be like, yo, fuck you. Don't talk about me. Don't talk about my mom. Get someone between us because we're going to fight right now.
Don't talk about my mom.
Yeah, that's great. Don't talk about my mom. So moving up to the co-main event, we have Mr. Jose Aldo versus Pedro Munhoz. Jose Aldo's coming in at -140. Munhoz is +120. At least those are the opening lines on the UFC website. Tom, do you have anything different for us?
Yeah. Listen, I see everyone has basically -110, -115s, more -110s. Pedro Munhoz basically brought it from even. He opened at +110. Jose Aldo opening at -140. And let's look at Tapology. Tapology, 1,200 people voted, 71% taking Aldo, 83 of those by decision, 29% on Munhoz has 71% of that by decision. So, you know, if we're to believe Tapology, this one's definitely going to hit the over as far as rounds.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I don't really think so myself. But let me start by saying this. I think Pedro Munhoz should only be fighting Jimmy Rivera. When the two of those guys get into the octagon together, it's always a war. I think that they've had 2 or 3 fights against each other so far, but they're like so evenly matched. And I like Jimmy Rivera a lot. He's another stout guy. He's a big-time wrestler that knows how to use his hands very well. So that should be the fight to be made, especially when Pedro Munhoz loses on Saturday, because I'm rolling with Jose Aldo, just like all those people on Tapology. You got to look at Jose Aldo's career, right? He's a young guy. He fights Conor McGregor at what some thought was the peak of his career, and Conor McGregor lands that, what some might also say was a fluke shot, a very well-timed shot, puts him out within, 7 or 8 seconds of the fight. Incredible fight all around. It's great. If you're a McGregor fan and you haven't seen that, go back and watch it, because if you haven't seen it, you're not a real McGregor fan. But he fell down heavily. He basically fell off the face of the earth, loses those 10 pounds, moves down a division. And now by circumstance, because Juliana Pena and Amanda Nunes are no longer fighting, he's a co-main event. Again, we got Jose Aldo back in our lives. He's back there pretty much at the top of the card. Now, with all that being said, I don't think that Jose Aldo, a little bit later in his career at 34 years old, is going to let that fall by the wayside a second time. He's definitely belt hungry again. So a couple of things you got to look at with Aldo here. He's body heavy. He loves to kick, and especially he loves to use body uppercuts a lot and body hooks. So he likes to piece up dudes' bodies, just laying into them for the first round or two. And then eventually when their hands drop, then he starts targeting the head. But then you look at Pedro Munhoz, and he doesn't eat body shots well. We've seen in his prior fights, especially some of those against Jimmy Rivera, when he gets hit in the body, he really drops his hands low. he really starts to get worried about protecting his kidneys, his internal organs, and all that. He doesn't want to have to really spend too long in the hospital after a fight. So I'm taking Aldo here. He's too fast. He's got a height and a reach advantage. He's got the experience, and he's got the hunger to get that belt before he gets too old. This fight doesn't necessarily put him back into, like, belt contention whatsoever, but it's another stepping stone to get there. So good for Jose Aldo. Just hopefully Munhoz doesn't say that he's going to ride into his favela on horseback like Conor McGregor did, because I think that got in Aldo's head the last time. But, rolling with Mr. Jose Aldo here. Tom, please agree with me.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going with Jose Aldo. Listen, Jose Aldo, we think he's really, really old because he's been around for a while. And while he's no sprint chicken, he is only, I believe he's 36 years old.
34.
34 years old. Okay. So he's no spring chicken, right? But he's still 34. He's still definitely a solid fighting age, maybe a little bit older for the 135 division, but, definitely not the oldest we've seen. And get this, his opponent, Pedro Munhoz, guess how old he is? 34. So they're the same age, and we just think Jose Aldo is old because he's accomplished so much already, and now he's kind of in that second stage of his career. He's basically been at this and great for so long that he can have two stages of his career. And you go back and you look at his opponents that he's beaten. You go look at the people he's beaten. He's beat Jeremy Stevens. He beat Renato Moicano. His losses are back-to-back to Max Holloway. He beat Frankie Edgar before that. So he loses to Conor, beats Frankie Edgar, loses to Max Holloway. That's going to happen. Max Holloway is phenomenal, and he was even back in 2017. Beats Jeremy Stevens, good, you should. Renato Moicano beats him. That was a big win at the time. That was at the height of Renato Moicano, Renato Moicano was 27-4 at the time. Then he goes on, he loses to Volkanovski, who is now the champion, loses to Marlon Moraes, who is right up there, loses to Peter Yan, who is, again, right up there in the 35 division, beats Marlon Vera, who's also up there in the division, and now he's going to get Pedro Munhoz. Pedro Munhoz, just take a quick glance at the people he's fought. Yeah, he beat Rob Font in 2017. In 2019, he beats Cody Garbrandt when Cody Garbrandt was on his slide after his double loss to TJ Dillashaw. Loses to Aljo Sterling. Loses to Frankie Edgar. Then he beats Jimmy Rivera, and all of a sudden now that qualifies him to fight Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo really only loses to the best people in the division. I think Pedro Munhoz is really good, but I don't consider him top 3 in the division. So I'm going to ride with you. I'm going Jose Aldo. And looking at the fight, the people on Tapology, I forget what they said. They got 71% on Aldo. I'm going to ride with them right now.
Yeah, I think they're kind of setting this up to be Aldo's, like, somewhat comeback fight. That they know that Munhoz is good competition. He's not great competition, but in a way, everybody just remembers Jose Aldo getting knocked out by Conor McGregor. Like, that's the high point of his career, was getting the belt snatched from him. And this could be Dana White and Sean Shelby saying to us, hey, Jose Aldo's not gone. He's coming back, and this could be the fight where they do it. So, Nora, what do you think? You riding with Mr. Aldo here?
My first question is it Jose or Jose? Because y'all have been just going back and forth. Or do we just not know?
Jose Aldo.
It's Jose?
Yeah.
No, it's
okay.
Jose.
It's definitely Jose. He's Brazilian, not Spanish.
Well, obviously rule of thumb is if Tom and Keith agree, we're going with Jose. Pedro has the better name, the Young Punisher. You guys kept talking about age, but that's irrelevant. They cancel each other out. They're both 34. And Jose is bigger. So I'm going with Jose.
Oh, yeah. The only reason we brought up age is just because people think Aldo's a lot older than he is because he's been around for so long. But, yeah.
Actually younger in this fight by, like, 6 days.
So it might be time for Pedro to change that nickname from the Young Punisher to just the Punisher because he's not very young anymore.
Well, Jose's name is Junior, so.
Good point.
Hey, you never know. Maybe his dad was named Jose Aldo too. You never know.
It's possible.
we're going to have to do a little bit more research on that. But moving up the card, we have the main event. Derrick the Black Beast Lewis versus Cyril, some French thing, Gane. Derrick Lewis is coming in at plus 270. Cyril Gane minus 350. Tom, I'll let you kick this one off. Let us know what you think.
Basically, this is a fight that Derrick Lewis should lose and Cyril Gane should win, and it should be that simple. And it seems like as that ever always happened, Derrick Lewis ends up winning. It's ridiculous. Derrick Lewis opened plus 275, and he's about plus 300 now. Cyril Gane opening minus 325. I see him as minus 400 now, or I see him on a lot of sports books, should I say, at minus 400. I mean, listen, a lot of times Derrick Lewis is the bigger guy in his fights, but in this case, he's really not. He's 5 years older, but he's got a reach disadvantage, and he's an inch shorter. And I think overall, they weigh probably very similar, right, at the 245, 255-pound limit after Derrick Lewis slimmed down just a touch. But Cyril Gane is all muscle, and he moves at 245, 255, 265, maybe even 270, whatever he is in the cage. He moves like he is absolutely like he could be a lightweight. You know, he kind of has that bouncy step to him, similar to Conor McGregor. So he's got the better clinch game. He's got the better stand-up strike. He was a very, very accomplished kickboxer coming into the UFC. He's 9-0 in the UFC. I believe he's 9-0 in pro MMA, period. And I think he has a much better record, more fights in professional kickboxing as well. He's good in Muay Thai. He's good in the clinch. He's much better on the ground. Derrick Lewis just kind of pushes people off of him, but I don't think he'll be able to do that to Cyril Gane if it does go to the ground. I don't think it will. I think this is going to be a real technical battle. I think Cyril Gane, being the longer guy, being the much quicker guy, and honestly, he probably has this is a 5-round fight. I think as it gets later, we've seen Cyril Gane do a plethora of 5-round fights. We look at Derrick Lewis, and his fights generally are over in the first few rounds. Curtis Blades, uppercut in the first round. Alexei Olenek, right hook to ground and pound at the beginning of round 2. He has a unanimous decision win over Yair Latifi back in 2020. But before that, Legov, Ivanov. Okay, so he has 2 unanimous decision wins. Those are 3 rounds. This will be 5 rounds. I don't think Derrick Lewis he's touched a 4th round, and he lost to Mark Hunt way back in 2017, back when he was 32. Now that he's 36, I don't see him getting better as the fight progresses. So I think he's looking for a 1st or 2nd round knockout of Cyril Gane. I think Cyril Gane is going to have to be light on his feet. He's going to be quick. He's going to have good head movement. He's going to want to stay at distance and, try and use some kicks to keep Derrick Lewis away from him. And if he can use like a teep kick or something to keep Derrick Lewis away from him in those first few rounds, tire him out, get him running around the cage, maybe, use a teep, maybe try taking him down. I think he potentially could do that, but as long as he's got to, be careful of that upper hook or those short shots. That's the thing with Derrick Lewis. He's not he doesn't have long hooks that get you. He gets you real in close. He brings you in close. You look at his past knockouts, they're uppercuts. They're right in here. So you don't want to get in there. The good news is that Cyril Gane is longer, and he's an accomplished kickboxer. This really should be his fight. That being said, I'm picking Derrick Lewis.
Oh, you surprised me, man. I thought
No, I'm not. I'm picking Cyril Gane. But listen, you might want to take Sarah. Derrick Lewis can knock anybody out. That could happen at any time.
Yeah, you mentioned Cyril Gane. He's very technical. There's a million reasons why Cyril Gane should win this fight. And, Derrick Lewis fought Curtis Razor Blades back in, I think, February. Mm-hmm. And that was way back when I was just writing up blogs about UFC. And I was very adamant that Curtis Blades was going to just take Derrick Lewis to the ground and wrestle him around. Well, I learned my lesson, and I'm taking Derrick Lewis this time. For all those reasons that you said about why Cyril Gane is going to win, that's actually why Derrick Lewis is going to win. When he faces guys that are way more technical than him, he finds a way to just get them in close, whether it be playing possum like he did against Volkanovski. Volkanovski hit him in the gut. He bent over and pretended to be hurt. Volkanovski came in for, like a big onslaught of attack. And Derrick Lewis just got him with like a one-punch KO and then brought him to the ground and pounded him. There's a reason why Derrick Lewis was initially signed to go on and fight Francis Ngannou for the heavyweight belt. Kind of crazy that they decided to do this whole interim, title fight or whatever. But Cyril Gane, being lossless at this point, I think he's going to collect his first loss against Derrick Lewis. Derrick Lewis he might play possum again. He might find a way to draw Cyril Gane in very close. I mean, these are all maybes, but like Derrick Lewis is just going to find a way to land that one punch KO, and he has the most power in the division. Forget Francis Ngannou. Yeah, he has power and everything, but Derrick Lewis, in those short, stumpy arms that you mentioned before, and those short little, quick, close-in punches that he throws, he's going to find a way to bring Cyril Gane in close. And Cyril Gane, he might be too technical for his own good. I think he's going to try and do something a little bit outside of the norm, get more attention on himself. If you watch and bet it, he's been saying, he's like, I want to market myself better. That's why I came up with a nickname for this fight, to get it ahead of time. He's trying to do all these things to make himself, the next big name in MMA, and he's going to do something sloppy that's going to cause him to get a little too close to Derrick. Derrick's going to find that one shot. It probably won't come the same way as the Curtis Blaydes fight because Curtis, telegraphed his takedown against Derrick. But all this is just to say, when Derrick Lewis fights someone who should win on paper, he gets it done, and he knocks them the fuck out. So Derrick Lewis is going to do it to Cyril Gane. Cyril Gane's going to collect his first L. Yeah, it could go to decision, and if it goes to decision, then it's 100% Cyril Gane's fight. But if this ends within the 5 rounds, Derrick Lewis is going to knock Cyril Gane out.
Yeah, okay, but what win does Derrick Lewis have against an opponent the caliber of Cyril Gane that makes you say that, he can knock out anybody he can draw anyone in close? He hasn't fought a technical striker and won of Cyril Gane's caliber. And that's why I think Cyril Gane's be able to keep it at decision. Curtis Blaydes is not the technical or caliber striker that Cyril Gane is, and you said it yourself. People thought he was going to go in there and wrestle him. So I don't think that's a comparable win. Alexei Olenek, we know he's not striking. I don't think that's a comparable win. Ilir Latifi and Blagoy Uvinov, yeah, both of them are stand-up guys. Actually, I'm not even totally positive about that, but their striking is definitely not comparable with Cyril Gane. So, he lost to Junior Dos Santos back in 2019. I know he's kind of turned into a much more aggressive and better overall fighter since then, but that's really his last competition who's got really accomplished stand-up.
Yeah.
I think Cyril Gane's going to be the guy to do it.
Cyril Gane is very good on his feet, but like I said, when all signs are pointing one way, Derrick Lewis finds a way to win. He is the guy that defies like every law of physics and reality and everything out there. He's like the cheat code in the video game, basically. And he doesn't even look like he physically match ups against Cyril Gane. It looks like Cyril Gane would run circles around him. You just look at pictures of the two of them. Yeah, Cyril Gane is just straight muscle, and Derrick Lewis has, a dad bod, essentially. But Derrick Lewis, there's not really much of an argument that I can make because the only argument that I need is that Derrick Lewis is going to find a way to get it done. Here's what I think. Cyril Gane is going to use that teep kick. Derrick Lewis is going to bend over and act like he's got like an organ bursted under that belly of his. Cyril Gane's going to come in super aggressive, maybe even go for a takedown because he does have submission wins under his belt. Cyril Gane, he's also still kind of fresh. He's still kind of young. He's still kind of green. Derrick Lewis, there's a reason why he was initially signed to go fight Francis Ngannou, and it's because he's not technically sound. It's not because he's the best MMA fighter, but it's because he's got power in his hands. MMA just doesn't work against Derrick Lewis. He's going to find like that one moment where Cyril Gane slips up. There's no doubt about it.
With ADS.
Okay. That was how many years ago?
Cyril Gane beat JDS just a year and a half after that.
Listen, Cyril Gane.
Cyril Gane has fought very accomplished strikers his entire career. Beat Tanner Boser. Yeah, Tanner Boser's young, but Tanner Boser, we talk about how good he is on the feet, the Canadian guy with the mullet. Junior Dos Santos has a win. Again, only a year and a half after Junior Dos Santos beat Derrick Lewis. Jairzinho Rozenstruik, one of the best kickboxers in the UFC, beats him. Alexander Volkov, extremely long and lanky, finds a way to beat him. Through technicality, Cyril Gane has been able to win, and I think he's being the longer fighter, the bigger fighter, just as strong, if not stronger fighter, and Cyril and Derrick Lewis not contending with any bit of fighters that are of the same caliber. You know, he beat Volkov back in 2018, lost to Cormier, lost to JDS, and then the caliber of fighter, especially not stand-up fighter, hasn't been there. I think Cyril Gane is going to just show him something he hasn't seen in a long time. I think he's going to be able to keep his distance. I think he's going to be able to land from range. I think he's going to use a teep, use a knee to keep Derrick Lewis at range. And I think he's going to drag him into the third and the fourth. And ultimately by the fifth round, I think Derrick Lewis gets very tired. I think this could potentially be a TKO in the fourth for Cyril Gane.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with you on the fact that Cyril Gane is talented. He's going to show Derrick Lewis things he's never seen before. My whole argument, and clearly there's a good chunk of people out there that agree with me on this, but not enough where this isn't like shifting the lines too much. I'm taking Derrick Lewis for that sweet, sweet underdog money. He's going to find a way within probably 2 rounds to make Cyril Gane mess up. And he's just going to catch him, dude. I mean, catching him almost sounds like an insult because it's what Derrick Lewis does, but that's what he does. He catches people and knocks them out. Cyril Gane being unbeaten doesn't really sit well with me here either because it's like he almost could think that he's invincible at this point and he's like not beatable. So Derrick Lewis, he knows the stakes are very real. Cyril Gane was kind of thrust into this position. Way less rest time for Cyril Gane. He fought Volkov like pretty recently. Didn't get damaged at all. But my main thing is if it ends within the distance, Derrick Lewis will be winning it by knockout. If it goes the distance, Cyril Gane's going to win it by decision. But I like the underdog money here. Derrick Lewis, give me that money, black beast. I love you, dude. Your balls are hot. You want to take your shorts off after your fight. He said that, Nora. I'm not just saying that his balls are hot. Derrick Lewis, he's going to bring me some money, dude, and he's going to fight Francis Ngannou next and unify this interim title. All right, well, I guess Tom has nothing to say about that unless he's frozen again.
I mean, your whole argument is that Derrick Lewis shouldn't win, so he's gonna.
Yes, that's exactly my argument.
How do I contend with that argument?
You can't.
Like, 1 + 1 is like 17. Like, shit just don't make sense. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
And can you tell me that any of Derrick Lewis's wins in the past have made any sense?
I mean, he's beaten guys who tried to wrestle him. Alexei Olenek. Like, I went through his Curtis Blades. Like, when guys try to wrestle him, they have to get in close, and he pops them with close shots. Cyril Gane doesn't have to get in close. He's a much more accomplished striker than Derrick Lewis. I understand your argument. Derrick Lewis shouldn't win fights, but he does. At a certain point, you have to go, well, maybe I've just been underestimating him, and he's better than what I thought, but that doesn't mean he wins everything that he's supposed to. Sure, I think he has a better shot against Francis Ngannou than he does against Cyril Gane, because I think Cyril Gane is too technical. I think even when he's out of position, he's still going to kind of, be in position, keep things together. I think Francis, if he's coming in on him and he doesn't exactly know what to do, I think he may get out of position here, open himself up to get hit. I think ultimately Cyril Gane is going to stay more, kind of in his guard and be able to get away and get out and use it. I think Cyril Gane's more accomplished at striking. This is a battle of striking. I'm picking Cyril Gane.
So I'll end what I'm going to say with that first part of what you just said about how you were like, you underestimate Derrick Lewis and you say maybe he shouldn't have won this fight, but he did. Cut it off right there. That's exactly what you're going to be saying come Sunday morning. So we'll pass it over to Nora now because you and I could go over this like literally all night. we don't want to end up with a video that's like 2.5 hours long. We'll just FaceTime later and, we'll argue about it or something. Or, we'll just let Saturday happen and see what happens. Nora, who are you going to roll with?
Well.
Oh, she's got her mind made up already.
Obviously, you guys don't agree, so that makes it difficult for me. Typically I would go with Tom because I know Tom and he's one of my good friends, and Keith hasn't come down to drink with us. I'm sorry, I haven't met him yet, but
soon enough.
Also, Cyril, Gane, whatever, is bigger. I don't understand his nickname. I don't know what it means. Derrick Lewis, the Black Beast, phenomenal name. I think you guys have both made great arguments, but I think I'm going to go with Derrick Lewis.
Whoa.
He seemed, I don't know, Cyril, whatever, Bon Gammon, whatever that means.
It means the good kid in French.
Okay.
Yeah.
He just fought in June, so he hasn't had a lot of time to get his shit together. He's also 9-0, so this could be his downfall. You never know. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with Keith this time. Tom, I apologize. I still love you, buddy, but I'm going with Keith.
Yeah.
Derrick Lewis.
Good choice. And at plus 300 just about.
That was my other point. Yeah. I could win so much money.
Yeah. If you're betting 5, you'll win about 15. Yeah, that's a good
Exactly.
I'll end it with this. Derrick Lewis is going to knock Cyril Gane out like he broke into his car.
Oh, God. All right.
Yep. So, Tom, you got any final closing remarks for us about this really well put together, kind of slept on card?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm looking forward to better cards. Also, I'm really curious as to what's going on here. So this is UFC 265. UFC 266 is actually at the end of September. And then 267 is at the end of October. And then the following week is 268 on November 6th.
Yeah.
The spacing of these numbered cards makes zero sense. You got to figure one of those has to move. And if one of them's going to – two of them probably have to move. You got to move the September one up to the middle or early September, and then you got to move the October one up to the beginning of October or the earlier in October. There's no way that they're going to have 2 numbered cards back to back.
No shot.
Right? Something's got to get moved.
Yeah, especially with such a heavily touted card already, 268, potentially in Madison Square Garden, maybe not. After all the stuff that's been going on in New York City. Who knows what's going to happen with that one. I have a feeling that one will get pushed back and moved somewhere else just because I don't think what's going on really fits with Dana White's vibe at the moment. And plus the timing really, it's screwy. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But either way, I am very happy because if we could have a numbered event with a crazy card every weekend, that would make our jobs easier and it would make life a lot more fun. Thank God we had that card that was kind of weak last week, which ended up being really good with a lot of finishes, and then follow that up with Patricio Pitbull getting choked to death by AJ McKee.
Yeah, that was insane. I mean, good on AJ McKee. Just goes to show you if you snatch a guy's belt before their fight, hey, Jose Aldo's fighting. Snatch a guy's belt before the fight, you're going to lose that fight. Jose Aldo lost to Conor in a very similar fashion in the sense that it was right off the bat, got him cold, and he got him emotional.
Yeah, that's how it goes, But I got nothing else, man. Too bad Nora's not here. We could wrap it up, but we don't have to wait for her. I think she said everything that she wants to say tonight. You want to wait?
Yeah, I mean – I rumor has it she's going to get made fun of either way. I'm sure she inevitably did something wrong or that someone's going to take issue with. So either way, it's all part of being famous. You got it, Nora. We believe in you.
Yes, we absolutely do. Thanks for joining us from your business lounge in your building or your lobby, whatever it is. Oh, there she is. All right, we were just getting ready to wrap it up.
Sorry, I was about to pee my pants.
No, it's okay. all the people at home were like, oh, okay, so that makes sense. That face that she was making 5 minutes ago was holding it in. Well, with all that being said, Nora, you got anything you want to plug last minute? Maybe like another wine company or something else again? You got another bottle?
Oh, it's the same one. I got this. You might be able to get a sponsor from Cheez-Its.
Oh, Cheez-Its. Okay.
And I got a blender bottle of water.
Okay, you got to mix in the water every night.
I feel like blender bottle might be the most likely sponsor here.
Okay, so we're gonna.
It's like kind of athletic.
Yeah, we're gonna stick Nora on our management team, and she's gonna give the call over to Blender Bottle and let them know what's up with us over here. But
I got you guys.
With all that being said, kind of a little bit longer of an episode than we anticipated, but it was fun. So if you stuck around this long, thank you. Make sure that you like and subscribe, comment, make fun of Nora, or praise Nora. Don't bully her too hard. Cyberbullying is a crime nowadays. But guys, Tom, Nora, thanks for joining me. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys have an incredible night.